figures.
All right, thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause for supporting Up and Coming Comics. Thank you. So I can't help but notice that a lot of rock bands won't admit that they're named after the penis. Okay, Steely Dan was a dildo. They finally came clean and admitted they were a dildo. They say Pink Floyd is not a euphemism for the penis, but these are usually the same people who think that's the Hindenburg on the first two Led Zeppelin albums. And what exactly is Pearl Jam, anyway? Waiter, is your Pearl Jam locally sourced? Well, yes, we have a young guy making right at your table. Is that even legal in this state? I don't know what I just ordered, but I have a feeling my complexion is going to be rosy well into next week. And, all right, so the CIA are assholes, not for the reasons you might think. The CIA are assholes because why haven't they put LSD in the water supply like they promised long ago? You know, it's been 75 years. You know, is there some FOIA request or some form I need to fill out? It lasts forever. You know, there's some vat of it somewhere in some warehouse somewhere next to the Lost Ark. You know, at least put it in Congress's water. At least they might get something done. All right, so NATO is in the news. To join NATO, countries are required to buy weapons from other NATO countries. Isn't that just the old mafia protection racket, the old mafia insurance scam? Look, you got a really nice country here. I wouldn't want to see anything happen to it. You need to pay us for your weapons. I wouldn't want you to look like your neighbor, a hole in the ground like your neighbor over there in Waziristan. Right, so Theresa May is no longer the Prime Minister of England, and the reason she's no longer the Prime Minister of England, she got up there one day and said, let's seize the assets of the Russian oligarchs that are sitting in the Bank of England. Well, hold on there, Beefeater Breath. Wait a minute there, Mitigator of Gall, Merchant of the Maidenhead, Duchess of Destabilization. You mean to tell me you just allowed the Russian oligarchs to take the money they stole from the Russian people, put it in the Bank of England, gave them a free toaster, and waived service charges if they use the online app and says, pip pip, cheerio, Bob's your uncle, have a nice day. Ixnay on the, you can't be telling people that Teresa. Ixnay on the Usher Honey May. They shat her out of there faster than a British burrito supreme. Okay? You can't be telling people that. So I think I have a way of ending nuclear war. You guys want to hear how my idea for ending nuclear war? Luckily, everyone agrees and says yes to that. So far, no one said no to that. All right, so in Dr. Strangelove, there's a scene in Dr. Strangelove where they're talking about the nuclear survival bunkers. And they need beautiful women in the nuclear survival bunkers to repopulate the world, okay? Ladies, this is how far men will go to get to Funky Town with a beautiful woman who will blow up the world and lock you in a bunker. But if you're going to repopulate the world from the nuclear survival bunkers, you really only need 6 guys for that. In fact, with a well-maintained Pearl Jam bank, would you need any men in the nuclear survival bunkers to repopulate the world? I say no men in the nuclear survival bunkers. Okay, one guy, to take out the trash and fix the satellite dish and give foot massages. But once men find out they're not going to be in the nuclear survival bunkers, we'll find something else to do with our missiles. We'll keep our missiles in our silos where they belong. All right. I noticed there's a new verb in the English language. To be Khashoggi is to be dismembered and carried off in suitcases. Is to be Khashoggi. Admin have run with this. Madison Avenue has run with this. Samsonite has come out with a new line of leak-proof luggage. The Ginsu Corporation has come out with a new line of a new knife just for cutting up journalists. Never need sharpening. Called the Khashoggi line. Quentin Tarantino is going to be featured in the next Quentin Tarantino movie, the Khashoggi method. Now you might think that's a little harsh. That joke is a little harsh, a little too soon for that joke, that bit. But would it help if I told you his uncle was Adnan Khashoggi, famous weapons broker Adnan Khashoggi. You can see him on the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, one of the most richest men in the world. Would the world be any different if no one had the word broker connected to their job title? Every time there's a problem, there seems to be a broker involved, timber broker, loan broker, oil broker. Would the world be any different if there were no brokers in it? A pimp is a sex broker. He gets paid whether you nut or not. Aren't all brokers just pimps without the purple hat? All right, so I worked at a fulfillment center for a while. I won't say the name, it rhymes with Amazon. And Amazon, the whole warehouse is run by this thing called this mechanical control system. The warehouse is run by an AI called Mechanical Sensei. You might say that when people rage against the machine at Amazon, they rage against the actual machine. Even the owner is not immune to Mechanical Sensei. Sensei, open the penthouse elevator doors. I don't think I can do that, Jeff. Sensei, open the penthouse elevator doors now. I don't think that would be good for our corporate mission, Jeff. So when I was working at this fulfillment center, this particular one, about 30% of the items that came down, I was working the conveyor belt, which is very much like the Lucy episode where she's in the candy store, stuff coming down faster than you can put it in boxes. And about 30% of the items were sex toys that were coming down at this particular Amazon. And one day this thing comes down, it looks like a giant butt plug. I start waving this thing around, and it turned out it was a plumber's tool to plug a 4-inch pipe. Easy mistake to make. They're made by the same company. Another order consisted solely of a giant black dildo, a pair of pantyhose, and an economy-sized jar of Vaseline and a pair of pantyhose. I put my phone number in the box with a note that said, "Help, I'm being held captive at the fulfillment center." I figured whatever they're doing, it had to be better than working at the fulfillment center. Apparently they had a different idea of fulfillment because they never called me back. Here's something topical. I've always wondered, they used to call sex toys marital aids. I've always wondered how they came up with this term marital aids. I would have liked to have been in the room when they first prescribed marital aids. Doctor, my wife and I are having problems. Ever since we got that new pool boy, I've had to go to the babysitter to get my knob got. Is there anything you can do for us? Well, yes, what you need are marital aids. Go to this address, get yourself some whips and chains, a ball gag, and you'll be good to go. If you get a French tickler too, but make sure you get the French tickler, not the Chinese French tickler. They're the French tickler is the Swiss watch of sex toys. You gotta be authentic there. What if we used marital aids for other relationship issues? Let's put Trump and Biden in a room with marital aids, lock them in there for a few days, and until we see who the gimp is. Biden's scrappy, but Trump's got the experience. I'm not exactly sure who would win. Better yet, let's just pile a bunch of marital aids on the Senate floor and lock them in there for a few days. I think you're going to find a lot more submissive Republicans than you might think, especially if you put some corporate lobbyists in the mix. For those that don't have their own equipment, of course. All right, so let's see. I'm doing a longer set here. So my telescreen told me the other day that the birth rate is down, and we're going to need, and there's not going to be enough people to take care of us in our old age. The birth rate is down, and then my telescreen told me that robots are going to take over our jobs. I don't see the problem here. If I had a teenage enema nurse robot, I could get my drool bucket emptied and fulfill several fantasies that I've been suppressing for years. And besides, no one should have any of those jobs, and they're telling me that I shouldn't have any of those fantasies either. So the homelessness is out of control, as we all know. Every time I see somebody talking to themselves on the street corner, I gotta look to see whether they've got one of those earphones. Are you guys doing this? And look to see if they're one of these earphones. I think we should give homeless people free fake Bluetooth earphones. That way, for all I know, you're the head of a multinational corporation out there talking to yourself on the street corner, selling off the last of the Amazon rainforest. And besides, who's more insane, the guy that drives his limo through a ghetto to launch himself to penetrate the sky on a giant phallus, or the guy talking to himself on the street corner? Let's give them real smartphones. Maybe we should just give them real smartphones. They can't possibly do a worse job of managing the planet's resources. So, all right, this is my last one. So, thank you for your patience. So, they have this new feature on autonomous cars. Musk is working on this new feature on autonomous cars. An autonomous car has to decide in an accident whether it's going to err on the side of killing the people around you or killing you. It has to take evasive maneuvers to decide whether it's going to kill you or the people around you. So this new feature allows you to decide, every time you get in the car, you get to decide whether the car is going to kill the people around you or you inside the car. They're calling it the us and them feature in testing, or the me or you feature. I'm calling it the murder-suicide feature. On the murder side, the Cheney Affleck Bieber setting, the car will actually take out corrupt politicians, bad actors, and hack musicians, but only in an accident. Now, you wouldn't think you would use the suicide settings, but the parent-sibling X feature allows you to scream, "I'll take us both out!" with no hands, because it's a self-driving car. And yeah, so the suicide settings, you also, all of them get better gas mileage on the suicide side, but there's an actual gas-saving feature. The gridlock feature, they tested the gridlock feature. There shouldn't be any gridlock with autonomous cars, but they tested the gridlock feature. There's also a Thelma and Louise feature on the suicide side for those unexpected endings. The gridlock feature, no one would use the suicide setting, and they broke the knob off on the murder setting. This is going to be all over your interfaces and your SleekSnap tracks and your InstaGloop things, your InstaGloop feeds. And because it caused a major accident, because they broke the knob off on the murder side, and they couldn't. It took them 6 months to remove the bodies, not because they were chasing autonomous cars around, but the autonomous cars circled the wagons and wouldn't let the first responders in. All right, that's all I got. I'm running for president, because what I'm trying to do is promote the Equal Rights Amendment that we've been trying to pass for 50 years, and they still have not enacted the Equal Rights Amendment. So go to DJ Susd with 3 S's, djsusd.com if you want to check that out. All right, thanks for your time.
One more time for President-elect DJ Susd.
Thank you.
Stealing votes both from the Republican ticket and the Democratic ticket.